Hi, everyone. It's Lisa,
And I'm Amy Cattapan.
welcome to my very first use of the Substack Live feature. I'm so excited. I'm hoping that this will become a regular thing. I keep saying when life settles down, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime
Doesn't happen
soon.
for us, Lisa.
So life is not settled today, but I wanted to spend some time talking with Amy. We're here together. Tell them where we are.
We are in Los Angeles at the C3 conference. So this is a conference that the Archdiocese of Los Angeles does every year. I think I've been speaking here since 2015. You started here even prior than I did. I remember the first time they asked me to come and speak. I think I saw that you had been the keynote speaker the year before, and I was like, Lisa, tell me about this conference.
So that probably means I've been here since like 2 years before.
Yeah, probably 2014
That's how
or
old
something
I
like that. Yes. But it's a conference for those who work in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, the teachers in the Catholic schools, the parish workers, catechists, and it's mostly about technology. We do a lot of technology-based talks, but there are also some, very spiritual aspects to it as well. So it's a great 2-day conference here in Los Angeles.
And it kind of, I was laughing when you said Los Angeles because I don't really consider where we are right now to be my part of Los Angeles, but it is part of the Archdiocese. And one of the great things about the conference is that it actually rotates around to different parts of the Los Angeles Archdiocese. The Archdiocese had, I think, 5 different regions. And so they make a good effort to kind of go to different parts of it. And so you've seen little nooks and crannies of the Archdiocese.
I have, because they've moved it around. We've been up north by the Burbank airport. Mm-hmm. This is sort of, I guess you would call this the eastern part.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we've been down south. Well, we were at Loyola Marymount the first few years. Yeah. And then like 2 or 3 years ago, we were even further south. You might have missed that one. I think we were at Mary's Star of the Sea or somewhere down there.
So anyway, we wanted to take advantage of the fact that we're together at this conference to do a little live stream to talk with you about something that you've seen me teasing, actually not teasing, just announcing on my Substack, which is an amazing Ignatian Writers Retreat that we are going to be co-hosting in October. And so since we're together, we thought we would spend a few minutes just talking about this retreat so that if you had any questions or if there was anything we could clarify, we could do that, but also just to give you a sense of what it's going to be like. I personally have never actually been on an Ignatian retreat, and so it's going to be a new first experience for me too. And so I thought, since I had Amy here and she's really close to the spirituality, that maybe you could share a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess I want to say, first of all, and have you talk about this too. If somebody doesn't really think I'm not a writer, I've never published anything, is there room for them on this retreat?
Absolutely. So this retreat is for anybody who enjoys writing, whether you do it for yourself, or you're just prayer journaling, maybe you write things for your parish. Like at my church, we have an opportunity every Lent for the parishioners to contribute to Lenten reflections that one of the religious sisters on the staff emails out to everybody. If you write things like that for your parish, you're welcome to come. If you are a published author, we welcome veteran authors who have been out there writing books, magazines, or whether you just keep up your own Substack or blog. Any kind of writer is welcome to come to this, all levels.
I envision too, maybe there's somebody out there who's always had an interest in writing. I remember, and I wrote about this on my Substack a while back, the very first time that I went to a writers' conference, I felt so like there was going to be some guard at the door that was going to ask me for my special credential. And I definitely didn't have one.
Where is your writer's card?
Right, exactly. Who let you in the door? And immediately when this is way, way, way back. And immediately when I went in, first of all, it was in a library. And I remember going immediately to the St. Therese of Lisieux section of the library and just standing near her book and asking for some grace to be brave and courageous. But immediately there were people around me who welcomed me and who shared that they were novices or they were experienced and that I should feel welcome and comfortable. And I hope that's what we're presenting too, is for anybody who has a sense that you have a story within you. And especially I want to say, having lost my parents in the last couple of years, as they passed away, we need to share our family stories. And if you haven't taken time to maybe write down some of the special parts of your life that might be meaningful to other people, this might be a good chance to
Yeah.
dabble in that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you feel that inner call to write, definitely come and check this out because it's a very welcoming environment and you're welcome to participate in as much or as little of the scheduled activities that we have, but there's also going to be plenty of quiet time for just reading and writing. And there's two beautiful libraries at the retreat house that we're going to be in. So plenty of reading material or bring your own, bring your notebook, bring your journal, bring your laptop, whatever that you would like with you. So everybody is definitely welcome.
So let's talk a little bit about the schedule because I know we do have some people who are coming that want to use this as like a good solid chunk of time to actually get some work done.
Yeah.
And so we're each going to be giving 3 talks over the course of we arrive on Thursday evening. So talk a little bit about the schedule.
Sure. So it basically goes Thursday dinner until Sunday at lunch. So we call this an extended weekend retreat. So normally if you go to a Jesuit retreat house, and I've been to a number of them over the years, a weekend retreat would be from Friday dinner till Sunday lunch. So this is an extended one. You get an extra day, Thursday dinner until Sunday at lunch. So when you would come in, you are welcomed into this beautiful old manor home at Bellarmine Jesuit Retreat House. This is in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Not too far of a taxi or Uber ride from O'Hare Airport, but far enough out. It's on beautiful, I think it's like 80 acres or so of land.
Wow.
It's
Amazing.
it's really lovely. You're a little bit out in the country out there. And like with many of the retreat houses, it was like somebody's home. And then I think they often get donated, to the religious, and then they built on over the years. So it started with this beautiful manor home that has a lovely like living space area with the fireplace, all these beautiful chairs. It's got the old like wooden library where you can just cozy in and look out the bay window at the fields. It has a beautiful chapel, the Sacred Heart Chapel, a lovely dining room, and then lots of rooms, some with private baths, some with a shared bath. But there's just lots of space to explore around. So we always start on this semi-silent retreat. That's what this one is called, with a welcome, an orientation. There's a little like happy hour, if you will, a little wine and cheese party, and we all get to know each other. And then we have dinner. And after dinner, that's when we kind of settle into the silent-ish point of the retreat. And like Lisa was saying, we're each going to do 3 talks. I'm basically doing the afternoon, evening talks. Lisa's doing more of the morning-ish talks. And then there's a good amount of time in the middle of the day for people to write, to read. Like I said, there's 2 libraries.
To take a nap.
Take a nap if you want to.
Take a walk.
Take a walk. There's what they call the bridle path. So there's actually because it's out kind of in the country area, there used to be a horse path through there.
Wow.
So when I say bridle, I mean BRIDLE. AL. There's what they call the bridle path. So it's a nice area to walk through the woods. There's an outdoor Stations of the Cross. There's an outdoor prayer labyrinth. And if you don't know what that is, have you done a prayer labyrinth? So a prayer labyrinth is a circular area on the ground. It looks sort of like a maze from above, but you won't get lost because it's all marked by either stones or bricks, depending on how they did their prayer labyrinth. And it's just a beautiful meditative way. You can't get lost in the maze. You just keep following the path until you get to the center. And some people will use it to pray the rosary. Some people will use it to just repeat a Bible passage over and over again. So there's a beautiful prayer labyrinth. There's the St. Joseph gazebo. You can go sit in a gazebo. There's a butterfly garden. There's a little area dedicated to Mother Teresa with a statue of her. There's just so many beautiful grounds to explore. And we're doing this the first weekend in October.
It's going to be gorgeous.
Yes.
Right?
This is the time you come to the Chicago area. Like, you don't want to come right now when it's too hot. You want to come in the fall. September and October are like the best times, I think, to visit Chicago. So it's going to be beautiful there. So there'll also be time for confessions. There'll be confessions available multiple times. Since this is a Jesuit retreat house, there are trained spiritual directors. There's priests, I should say, and trained lay spiritual directors. So you can sign up for like a 15-minute spiritual direction session if you want. And then Lisa has graciously volunteered some of her time on Friday afternoon. You can sign up for a little slot to do a little mentoring session if you want a little. Well, why don't you talk a little bit? Like, what are you offering during your mentoring?
God, it's like 20-minute sessions, so it's not like you can bring in your great unpublished novel and I'll read the whole thing in 20
Yeah.
minutes. But I hope that that will be a time for you to, in a way, sort of practice giving an elevator pitch. I spent 5 years working in acquisitions for Ave
Mm.
Maria Press. And one of
Mhm.
the things that I learned in that job is the importance of sort of understanding a project before you try to get it published. And so I hope that that'll be time where I can help writers get to sort of the core of their message and
Mhm.
to communicate that impactfully, or really to help them pray about, like, I don't have any idea at all what I'm writing or where I'm going with this or whatever, so that it can be an individual thing for every person
Mhm.
that I meet with, depending on what they need. And obviously, it will be the first part of a conversation. So I see our friend Amy is asking in the comments, which thank you, Amy, for asking a question, if this will be the only retreat happening during this time.
It will be, yes. So this retreat house, during the week, during the school year, they often are doing retreats for high school students. They're doing Kairos
Mhm.
retreats, but that will not be happening while we're there. So we will be the only ones there. So we'll have plenty of space, plenty of silence.
Yeah.
You can spread out. Speaking of the silence, I should probably also mention, because some people get intimidated
Yeah.
by that. Don't be intimidated by it, because there are opportunities to talk if you really want to talk.
Mhm.
So, if you are interested, there will be some small group discussion times. You are not required to go to the small group discussion, but if you want to discuss what Lisa and I
Mhm.
talk about, usually after that, there'll be some time for a small group discussion. You're welcome to go and talk at those times. Also, they're going to offer an option during this retreat of whether or not you want to have a silent meal or you want to be able to talk to other people during the meal. So they're going to set up 2 dining rooms for us. The one dining room will remain a silent dining room for
Mhm.
people who want to stay in the quiet, and then the other one will be a talking dining room for people who do want to talk with the
Have
other
some more
retreatants
time
there.
talking. And
Yeah.
obviously, during our talks, I don't know about you, but I never give a talk where I'm just completely me talking the whole time. I'm going to be asking questions and asking for participation. So, and those talks are not overly long. I think
Which is about 30 minutes.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
pretty quick. So we've tried to create a schedule that we think will both lend to some professional and personal growth, but also permit you to have the time that you need to really settle into your retreat. And I have to say, not this weekend, but the weekend before, I actually had the opportunity to go to a retreat for a board of directors that I sit on.
Mhm.
And I realized I have not been on a retreat in quite some time. I've spent quite a lot of time at retreats delivering the retreat,
Yeah.
but on this one, even though it was a working retreat, I realized just how much I needed that opportunity to get away and to
Mhm.
have some quiet time and just no screen and, to really reflect. And that was a really good gift. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited, even though you and I are delivering this together, that we're going to have a real retreat too.
Yeah, yeah, we'll have some quiet time too. And you never know what's going to come out of it. Sometimes it's just a renewal, a reminder of the call that God has. I walked out of a 5-day silent retreat with an outline for a book once. So you never know what the Holy Spirit has planned. I'm like, okay, I have an outline for a book after 5 days. There you go.
Yeah, I know. I don't know about you, Amy, but I'm definitely discerning some things, and so
Hmm.
it's going to be a
Hmm.
good opportunity, to both in prayer and also with some good spiritual direction to
Yeah.
kind of weigh out those thoughts. And so it will be interesting to see. And while we're friends, and we've been in each other's circles for years and have presented at common events, I think if I'm not mistaken, that this is the first time we've done something like this
Presented
together.
together. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
It's a
really
first.
exciting. Yeah,
It's
so we're
exciting.
excited. Hopefully
Yeah.
not the last.
Yes. Yes. Please pray.
Yeah,
Please God.
but that's really exciting. So we want to invite you, and we understand that it's an expensive both time and a monetary expense. I will say for myself that I find that when I have had to make a commitment to my craft, that involves a financial expense, I definitely spend time praying about it and I talk with my husband about it. But I also realize that when I do that, it actually makes me take it a little bit more seriously.
Hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've signed up for free webinars or free this or free that. And I always have the best of intentions. And then I just don't take it as seriously as
Yeah.
when I have some skin in the game.
Yeah.
And so I know that not everyone will be able to afford the finances of this, but I hope for the people that do, that you realize that there's a lot of thought and effort being put into making this something
Mhm.
that's really meaningful for you, that we hope it will be worth your time and effort.
Yeah, I was thinking too, when you look at the cost compared to going to like a writing conference, you can pay for a writing conference the same amount or more as this retreat, and it doesn't include your accommodations and your meals. So for this, it's including your accommodations and all your meals and the talks. And there's mass every day. I should add that in there. There's going to be a healing service on Saturday night. We're going to offer a little opportunity for an open mic night if you want to share just a few minutes of your own writing. So again, another opportunity to talk. You don't have to be too scared of all this.
Well, and just to say, those things are optional too.
Yes.
So if you want to participate, that great. And if what you really need is like some classes and then just some time to be on your own, that's the way that it can be for you too. So it's like one size does not fit all. It'll be, or maybe one size does fit all. Does one size?
Yeah, maybe you just get to adjust. It's like there's a belt and you just cinch it the way you need it. I will also say the library. There's 2 libraries there, and I've used those libraries for research for writing projects.
Cool.
So like the last retreat that I went on, actually the last 2 that I've done, because I've been a retreatant at Bellarmine and I've been a retreat leader at Bellarmine. I've seen both ends of it, and the last 2 times I went as a retreatant instead of the retreat leader, I was going through the libraries and I was pulling out all their books on saints and doing research on saints for my books. So
there's nothing like having a lot of really cool books around.
Yeah.
And I want to say, in terms of, I guess maybe I should just speak to how we complement one another. Amy and I both are published authors. Amy, along with her work in nonfiction, has quite an extensive fiction background. And my fiction and my sort of nonfiction for children, I think we have a nice complement of.
We have a wide variety of experiences because you've written some picture books too. I haven't gone down to picture book level, but I've done middle grade and I've done young adult and I've done nonfiction for adults. So yeah, we've covered a fair amount.
I'm regressing in my writing, so
you're going for younger and younger.
I'm about to break that trend, and actually, I'm really hopeful that at the retreat, I'll have maybe a sneak peek of my brand new book that's coming out in October. So we'll see if I can get some there. That would be really amazing to have.
That is another good thing to mention, because sometimes people ask, like, can we get your books after your talks? And Bellarmine does have what they call their resource center, which is a place where they have spiritual tools, including books. And I know they've been stocking up on some of copies of our books so that they will have them there, and we'll have an opportunity to sign them at the end of the retreat too, if people want to.
And speaking of new books, let's pivot for a minute. Just we only want to take a couple more minutes, but we want to talk about Amy has a brand new book baby that's just newly published.
Yes, book baby number 5.
I know. Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. So tell everybody a little bit about this new gift that you're bringing to the world.
I'm very excited about this one because it really is rather a departure for me. So I started writing with books for kids since I'm a middle school English teacher. I wrote a middle grade mystery and a young adult fantasy novel. And then I started pivoting to writing nonfiction book for teachers. So those are my first 2 books with Ave Maria Press. But my new one is really broad audience. It can be read young adults and up. And it's called Hope Without Borders, 30 Days with Frances Xavier Cabrini, my girl, St. Francis, Madre Cabrini. So if you may have seen the movie about her that came out.
It's so popular last year, right?
Last year it came out. And I really fell in love with her even before that movie because I researched and wrote about her in my Saint Squad for Teachers because she started as a public school teacher in Italy and then started her religious order and was sent by Pope Leo the 13th, not the 14th, the 13th, to New York to care for the Italian immigrants who really didn't have a good number of Italian priests here to even hear their confessions or to say homilies in Italian. And a lot of them were kind of falling away from the faith and they were discriminated against. They were not treated in the hospitals for white people back then. And some of them died in the terrible working conditions and children were orphaned. So she came on over and cared for these orphans and cared for these families and took care of their basic physical needs first and then, started caring for their spiritual needs as well. And she's become the patron saint of immigrants because she not only cared for the immigrants here, she went to Latin America and South America, and she had houses in France and Spain as well. And I just really grew to love her. I found we had a lot in common. She's from northern Italy, just outside of Milan. My dad's family is from northeastern Italy, not too far from Venice. We're both pretty petite. I'm 5'2". I think she was about 5 feet. A little
Amy is
shorter
sitting
than
on a
me.
high chair
I am on a
today.
high chair. Don't let the higher chair fool you. I'm like this. We're both school teachers, both have a heart for immigrants because I have a large immigrant population that I teach, both big time into Ignatian spirituality, which I didn't realize until I started digging into her letters and her retreat journals. And I was like, well, that makes sense because she chose the name Francis Xavier after the
Yeah.
Jesuit missionary, St. Francis Xavier, who, of course, was the missionary to China. And when you read through her retreat journals, you actually discover a lot of Ignatian spirituality. And she had her sisters doing a daily exam and doing the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius. And she made sure they all went on retreat. So you should be like Cabrini and go on retreat and join us, because she knew how important it was to take time to really be close to the heart of Jesus. And so this book gives you a chance to read her private retreat journals and the letters she sent to her missionary sisters, because she traveled so much. She was always writing back to the other houses as she was
so
traveling.
amazing.
Yeah. And so each day you get a little piece of something she wrote, and then a thought of the day, which I wrote, and then a prayer to end your day, which I wrote. So I did some of the writing, but Mother Cabrini did a lot of the heavy
you're
lifting.
a co-author with Mother Cabrini.
In some ways.
On Amazon, I think it actually says like
she's the author.
Cabrini,
I'm the editor.
Yeah.
That's what it says on Amazon. Author Francis Xavier Cabrini, edited by Amy Cattapan. I'm like,
you're the editor to a saint.
I'm the editor to a saint.
But you get the royalties.
I get the royalties. Sorry, Mother Cabrini.
So that book, I'm going to be sure to put a link in our show notes here so that you can get a hold of it. It's through Ave Maria Press, and definitely we want to thank our friends at Ave Maria Press for the amazing books that they have out. And Amy's book is just one in a beautiful series that they do of 30 days with
great spiritual teachers, they call it.
Yeah, it's really an amazing series. So, and it's the kind of thing that like, maybe if you've been away from reading for a while and you sort of have a hankering to kind of like jump back in with something that's a very gentle invitation to get back.
Short.
Yeah, because it's something that you could do, and you can certainly take more time with it, but you could do it in 5 or 10 minutes a day.
You could do it with your morning coffee or tea or whatever
and
beverage you enjoy.
School year is starting up, so maybe this is a time when you want to kind of like jumpstart, a new habit of reading again and getting back into the quiet time in your spiritual life. So so congrats on that.
Thank you. Awesome. I'm very excited. It's out there in the world now.
I know. So I guess as we close up, I'll just say to anybody that's listening to this after the fact, feel free to place any questions or comments that you have on my Substack or wherever you're going to get a hold of us, and we'll be sure to respond to those. And you can also, if you want to ask something that maybe you don't want public, you can always contact me privately through my email, just lisahendey@gmail.com. If you want to connect with Amy, I'll make sure that you have the chance to do that too.
Yes. We hope that many of you can join us because it's such a beautiful place at Bellarmine Jesuit Retreat House, and come for the renewal, come for the spiritual nourishment and refreshment. It's a beautiful place.
Come for the promise of what the universe might be calling you to and what God might be calling you to. It might surprise you when you put yourself out there. What I always say, like, if I had waited until I was qualified to do the things that I have done in my life, I would have missed out on so many amazing opportunities because I would still say I'm not qualified to do what I do. But when you give your yes and you open up your spirit and your heart to serving with the gifts that are within you, it's remarkable what can happen in your life. So if you're feeling afraid, I think that's a natural part of this. And just know that we're going to be there to maybe figuratively and literally hold your hand and walk this journey with you.
Yeah. So. Pope Francis liked to say, our God is a God of surprises, which I think he actually stole from St. Ignatius, but that makes sense because he was a Jesuit. So, be open to the surprises God may have in store.
Surprise yourself. Where can people get a hold of you if they want to find
they can come follow me on Instagram at AJ Cattapan. They can come to my website, which is ajcattapan.com. You can find Bellarmine Jesuit Retreat House on Instagram as well. I think they're Bellarmine JRH, Jesuit Retreat House, JRH.
We're going to have that link because actually maybe just somebody's watching this who just wants a retreat and you don't
Yes.
necessarily want a writing retreat. So that seems like an amazing place. And
Yeah.
I know that I'm going to be a regular visitor there now.
I go back probably a couple times a year. If I'm not presenting, I'm going on a retreat. So it's a lovely place, and there's really kind people there. So
Well, thank you, Amy. Thanks for being my friend,
thanks for
my
being my friend.
coworker in the vineyard, and for all the inspiration that you give me. And thanks to you guys, whether you've been watching live or whether you watch this after the fact. You can do us a favor by sharing this and liking it, and just telling a friend. Maybe there's somebody that you know that's interested in this topic too. And I just want to say how grateful I am for all of you for supporting this summer. I guess maybe at some point I'll do a separate live on how just absolutely cray cray Lisa's life has been. In theory, my house is closing escrow today. So that's another kind of personal thing that I've been sharing about here. So thanks for your prayers and just your friendship. And until next time, we'll see you soon. God bless.